Well, good afternoon, Maverick traders. Welcome to the Market Roundup. Joe with you here. It's the 11th of February. It's a Tuesday. Let's jump into the markets. You guys know how this works. First thing I want to do is take a look at some of the meaningful news of the day. Let's break the markets down technically. And I've got a trade or two, so we'll share them with the community.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Moving into the analysis, it looked like another consolidation day. As these markets are starting to establish kind of a interesting pattern, but it's difficult to follow because of all the noise that's out there. What do I mean by that? Well, real quick, daily news, consolidation patterns developing in the majors. We've taken a look at another flag pattern going on. Today was an inside kind of a trading day. Another gap down or retracement. Some volatility definitely intraday will continue, and I don't think that's going to change. How do we finish? Well, the Dow flat, S&P pretty much flat across the board here. Oil had a pretty good little bounce today, and gold kind of stagnant as well. Advanced decline line, 54 declining, 42% advancing, and we have a 55-45, slightly above average when it comes to above or below the 50-day moving average. It's just kind of one of those things, right, folks? So let's get into our S&P. This is kind of that consolidation that we've been talking about. And we've got maybe the beginning or the establishment of another flag pattern. We are kind of sitting tight out here. I thought this was pretty interesting. We have some of these bigger red candles, but they seem to gap down, runs higher. I would not be surprised if we had another retracement or another test. These flag patterns can continue as long as they want to. I think the big point is if it breaks some of these lower levels, then we got something worse going on. We did get a flip on the 20-50-day moving average over the last few days, so that's a little bit enlightening. So consolidation here, a little bit of a pullback's fine, but if we start to break into this area, then it kind of throws the pattern out. Now, what's difficult about this is knowing that these do take their time. That means we have to wait for it, so we really can't anticipate. We're kind of stuck as this develops. Let's take a look at the Qs. It's kind of trying to do the same thing. It's a lot more volatile. In fact, today, folks, the Qs move was generally based on one or two of the larger stocks that slipped today. Tesla dropped quite a bit, which kind of drags on it. But it is trying to develop that same type of pattern, but I don't think it's going to do it. We had a pretty steep flag here, and it did well. But guys, it's a little muddled, right? It's more of a support area with kind of descending highs, more so than the flag that we're seeing on the SPY. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily weak. We are above averages. The moving averages are correctly stacked, and they're actually moving higher. So any sort of consolidation here, one thing that I think I drew the other day, and I'll do this again, is what could be the beginning of a symmetrical triangle pattern. We'll see what happens. These are all projections. I think what I really want you guys to take from today's class, and I'm going to do this again with you tomorrow, is there's still a lot of volatility going on, a lot of reactionary moves, a lot of earnings going on, and we're just kind of muddled out here. There's not a lot of clarity. But there are some good stocks and some bad stocks. They're just across all the sectors. Here's the heat map real quick. Take a look at it. Tesla down 6% there. Apple up 2%. They're going to have that larger impact. But overall, pretty much just kind of a flat sideways day. I'm going to get into our market outlook. Now, I went ahead and gave a +1 for the weekly outlook. And the reason being is because we are above the 20 to 50, and that slope flipped. I do like to see that this 20 flipped. So they're showing some bullishness there. I mean, let's get to it here, folks. I can give you also a symmetrical triangle pattern on this if you'd like, but we have flag patterns. So I got to stay glass half full. However, my longer term is still unclear. I just can't get behind any sort of, well, I should say this. I can't see any sort of emerging sector. I can't see any sort of clarity when it comes to, I'm seeing a whole lot of stocks going up a lot and a whole lot of stocks going down a lot, and they're in the same sectors. So I'm going to lean more towards kind of what we're going through with this transition, some policy stuff, and more importantly, probably the earnings is what it's doing. So I just have to keep it at a 0. I mean, you'd see above the 20, above the 50. If the slope, I should be +2 at least. But what's going on when it comes to kind of the patterns and some of the resistance areas that we do have in the overall markets, it's easy for me to just kind of sit back and see what we do next. Now, I still have trades. We can still find some trades. Here's ACI. This is Albertsons Food, and then Lamb Research. I mean, you talk about two different places. And then we got Google, and then Omnicor. And so it's just kind of where you find it, and it's all based on patterns. Well, let's take a deeper look on the ones that I'm going to share with you here. And I zoomed out because I'm looking at stuff that's way back, right? This is last year, September. And that's pretty significant when it comes to what we're seeing here in Albertsons. So interesting place, right? Consumer defensive, right? So we've got a pretty good move to the upside. I didn't get the volume here. I apologize for that, but it's been pretty confident. It's a smaller mover dollar-wise, but this is something that you could look at. These are some of the charts and some of the stocks that I've been focusing on. So take a look at that. If not, let's take a look at something similar to it that relates specifically to this type of chart. On the downside, it's just insult to injury. I just see things that are out underplayed, and they just keep continuing to get punished. Corey had a great trade on GM, stock that I've been looking at for a while. It's just, when they're out of favor, they tend to stay there. We are at a support level here. I would expect maybe an oversold bounce, but Omnicom is just not participating against, I should say, some of the others. It's very difficult to try to add fundamentals because you don't have to. The idea is just to take a look at the price action. Well, why isn't this working? Why isn't this going with everything else? Why is this weak when everything's strong? The coolest thing, we don't need to know. It just is. A few trades that I've put over the last little bit have done this, and they tend to stay in the same direction. Be mindful of earnings. I picked this one because it's past it. It looks like it missed. So maybe it's something we can take advantage of moving forward. So just a couple of darts that I figured I'd share with you guys. I'm really not actively trading. I've got a handful of trades that I'm in, but I do not have a portfolio exposed right now. A lot of them are going into their earnings or have come out. So let's focus on the longer term patterns. It's difficult to do with all the gaps and the volatility intraday and day to day. But if we be mindful of the overall patterns, we can probably take advantage of it, at least in the shorter term, which once again, that's going to be tough. So the shorter term, I expect volatility. I expect reactionary trades. I expect this to last at least through February. Well, through February, we'll see what happens. But eventually, we'll settle. Eventually, you'll see emergers. Eventually, economic reports. We got the CPI and Powell speak tomorrow. Retail sales and unemployment later on this week. I think one's one day, one's the next. So I don't know. I think we got enough of the markets to kind of push and pull, regardless of economic reports. So far, the economy's been nice and stable and pretty strong. So we'll see if that continues to stay that way. Earnings reports, I got a couple. GILD, Dash, AIG. I mean, there's a whole heck of a lot more out there. Be mindful of what you're trading. Take a look at kind of what you want to do when it comes to the trades that you make, but just be very selective and shallow. Shallow is the best thing I can say. Guess what, folks? I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, so looking forward to it. Bye, everybody.